everybody, and welcome to this edition of MBH's Fireside Chat. I'm your host, Melissa Shea from Everyday Realty Services and MBH. And today joining me is one of the principals and one of the founding companies of MBH, Boulay. So we have James Lamb all the way from London, and we're in London right now, so it wasn't much easier for you to get here today, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. So you kind of have a unique dynamic. Both you and your wife joined MBH together with Boulay, right?
Yes, that's right. So Boulay was started 52 years ago by David Boulay. We bought a majority stake alongside David Boulay, so he's still got a stake, he's still involved. So the board is made up of me, my wife, David Boulay, and the operations director. We've been involved for the last, I think it's been 4 or 5 years, so we were the first business post-listing to join MBH.
Yeah, very cool. And what does Boulay actually do?
Boulay is a commercial fit-out business, particularly focused on the F&B industry and hospitality, but we do a wide range of sectors as well.
Very cool. And how did you feel with COVID? Because you were on the construction side.
Yeah, it was difficult. So we had one project that helped us through the first period, but it was a very quiet initial period during COVID. So yeah, it was tricky.
Yeah.
But certainly the last year or two it's been a lot busier.
How do you like being part of a vertical rather, that has multiple? Construction is probably the biggest sector of.
I guess what's unique for us is that there just happens to be a few businesses in and around London in construction now. So you've got Geisha, Gill Prime, GS, and Boulay, all of whom operate in a similar territory. So certainly the learnings and the collaboration, I think, has been and is going to be more helpful going forward.
Right. How did you get introduced to MBH, and why did you join?
I think we were looking at ways to scale Boulay. So at the time, it was around 6 million revenue, and in the last year, in 2022, we did almost 25 million revenue. And so we were looking. The reason mainly was to have the sort of backing of a bigger vehicle in order to get bigger contracts effectively.
Right. Very cool.
Which, so far has
worked out.
Worked, so yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So if you are addressing, our audience is comprised of some potential principals that might join MBH, maybe what advice would you say to them, or if they're considering it, what would you say about your journey?
Yeah, I think if you're looking to vie for larger projects, then that's a good reason to join. And if you're seeking to work collaboratively with other principals, I think a lot of business owners, including David Boulay, find themselves in being in a lonely place at the top. So having other peers, as it were, I think is probably the main advantage you've got. Yeah,
that's probably the reason why I did it, because I really enjoy that masterminding, that collaboration of ideas. Even though it's UK and I'm US based, it really does translate over, and just not feeling so alone as a principal is important. And we also have a great view of investors that are looking. So why do you think MBH is a good investment for investors as well, being in as a principal?
Yeah, I think it's scaled to over 100 million revenue in a fairly short space of time. There's not many business models, I think, that can do that. And having a diversified portfolio of, well-run, successful businesses in their own right, I think that's really the sell. Is you've got diversification and entrepreneurs who've got decades of experience in their relevant field.
Yeah, and that really did show and test the model during COVID, because we increased in our revenue. We didn't decrease at all in our growth during COVID.
That's right.
Yeah, we went from 4 companies all the way to 20. Now we're 27 with the 2 recent ones that just came in. And yeah, our revenue is well over 150 million right now. Yeah. So that speaks volumes. Like you said, on a small business level, to do that kind of scalability would not be possible unless this model was there. Yeah. I think it is, for that diversification, right? Because when the commercial sector, construction sector was struggling a little bit, education was going up. And now we're seeing education contracts lessening and construction really taking off. So it's really that balance that really does help level things for the investor as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, James, for joining us.
No problem.
I'm sorry that we missed Gary, but so for our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of MBH Fireside Chats.